Reddit Fresh.
Am I the idiot for naming my baby? A year ago, my male 34 sister, female 33, had her third baby. She named him after our late grandfather, who was my godfather. Let's call him Sam. We love the kid very much, but my GF and I were sitting on that name as well for our first child. My sister knew this. She didn't talk to us beforehand, but just dropped the name on us when she just gave birth. On the phone. I had an emotional reaction. I felt like she didn't respect me enough to talk things through or at least give me fair warning in advance. Things kind of escalated from there. We got over it relatively quickly, but now my sister is angry because she blames me for not being there for her in a difficult time. The baby was premature. I really tried to be, but she kind of shut down every attempt at conversation. She said she has every right to pick that name, that she didn't steal anything from us, that choosing a name is 100% the choice of the parents. It took months, but after a lot of effort, we got things back to normal. Flash forward to autumn 2022, me and my GF get pregnant. We have been discussing the name for a very long time. We considered a lot of options, but our hearts just kept on saying it has to be Sam. It's a name that holds so much emotion. We have built the idea of having children together around this name. Our kid has always been Sam in our heads. We knew that my sister was going to have a hard time with it, but we made the call to name our kid Sam, because otherwise we would have regretted our choice forever. We wanted my sister to be the godmother, so about 2 months ago we popped the question. Of course, we also told her the name we chose. We didn't want to put her in the same position that she put us. She said yes initially, but after we experienced silence from her. And we just knew they were angry and disappointed. We told them our door is always open for a conversation, but she didn't see the use since our mind was made up. So after a conversation with my parents, we gave her an out. We told her she doesn't have to be godmother if she doesn't want to be. We want her, but only if she wants to. She came back on her decision. She doesn't want to be a godmother. She rejected my unborn baby because of a name. It's bad. Something has been broken. She can't talk to me. The little contact we have is through text. She feels radicalized by our choice. I feel she puts rules and restrictions on me that she herself does not need to follow. If she doesn't have to consult me in advance, then why should I ask for permission? I feel like everything she told me a year ago is bullshit now when she is on the other end of the story. We are nervous wrecks in a time we really just want to enjoy the pregnancy. My grandfather would be completely devastated if he knew this would drive us apart. He only had 2 grandkids. So, obviously mistakes have been made. I'm still in love with the name we chose and wouldn't change it for the world. But, am I the idiot here? You're the idiot from beginning to end. YTF, do you think your sister has to consult you on what she's making her own child? While no one owns a name, you definitely are averting over your kid right now. Like, Jesus flipping Christ. I don't understand why you choose to become a parent of your selfishness. Everyone sucks here. You might have been sitting on a name, but there was no child. From what I understand, your sister gave birth to a premature baby, and you were too upset to help her. Even though she had 2 other kids to take care of? I understand being irrationally upset over her name choice, but it seems a bit much to pick on her for telling you over the phone when she had so much going on. She sucks for taking out her ire on your innocent child. There's nothing wrong with honoring your grandfather twice. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for ruining someone else's laundry? I, female 23, live in an apartment with a communal laundry room. I was trying to do my laundry today and saw that all of the laundry machines were taken. However, I noticed that many of them were done. The owners just did not pick their clothes up. After waiting for 10 to 20 minutes and no one came to pick up the clothes, I emptied the contents of one of the machines and set them on the side. This is a policy in our apartment. When I came back to get my laundry, this other person, also F, started yelling that I ruined her new clothes and demanded I pay her the price of her new clothes. It turns out that when I was moving the clothes, I missed some white clothes. They were very small, especially wet, and I just didn't see them. My clothes are all dark, and when I washed my load, the color washed into them and they are now gray. Apparently, they were brand new clothes that she was washing for the first time and were high quality. I realize this is my fault that I didn't see them, but I also think that if she valued her clothes so much, she should have come to pick them up earlier. I apologized, but she still wants me to pay for at least a part of the cost of the clothes. So am I the idiot for ruining her clothes? You're the idiot for refusing to immediately replace what you ruined by not checking the drum properly. It takes 1 second to spin the drum/check under the lip. You should be doing that regardless, since all sorts of stuff comes out of people's pockets in shared machines. You're the idiot. Even though she should have gotten them earlier, you were lazy and didn't double check. I recommend feeling around, not just looking, to make sure that you had gotten all of the clothes out, which is standard procedure when emptying out a washing machine for yourself or for someone else. At the end of the day, it's this simple: another person's property was ruined due to your negligence. Therefore, you are responsible for those damages. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for refusing to meet my sister's new boyfriend because he used to be a meth dealer? I, male 28, have always been pretty close to my sister, 29F. Despite us constantly fighting growing up, we were less than a year apart in age and were honestly always best friends. Anyway, due to life circumstances, we live a few towns apart now. My sister recently met a man at her church who is just out of prison. He is a convicted felon who once sold meth. My sister insists that he is a reformed man and last week invited our mother and me to come out to her town and meet him. I refused, and so did our mom. I can't fully speak for our mother, although I know that this is also her reasoning based on our conversations, but we refused because of his criminal past. This is a man who was once fully willing to destroy people's lives and possibly cause death just to make a quick, easy buck. I have absolutely no respect for such a man, and it shocks me that my sister would give such a person her love and support. My sister is furious with me and our mother. She says that her boyfriend did his time, is remorseful, and deserves a second chance. I told her that if he can maintain a clean, honest lifestyle for the next 2 years, that I will meet him and will encourage our mother to do the same. But until he can prove himself, he's basically a piece of garbage to me. Am I being too demanding and putting too long a time limit on it? Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. You aren't being asked to date the guy, you're being asked to meet him and be civil. This is someone your sister cares about, and you are making your judgment about him without even meeting him. You're the idiot. People change, and the purpose of prison is to rehabilitate as well as incarcerate. Many people have been to prison for things and have left and become respectable people. If your sister brought home Robert Downey Jr., would you be the same? He went to prison for drug-related things too. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for removing stuff from a public table in a park? I went to a public park in my city for a barbecue with some friends. With the warm temperature lately, this park is very busy and picnic tables get taken real quick. When we arrived, we checked to see if any were available, and after walking for a while we found one that seemed free. When we came closer, we found that there were some camping chairs, all folded up, on and under the table, but the owners were nowhere to be seen. We asked some people close by if it was their stuff, and they clearly said no. We then thought that since the owners weren't there, the table was fair game. We moved the folded chairs next to a tree near the table and started to unpack our stuff for our barbecue. About 10 minutes in, while I was prepping the fire, a man came over and started yelling that we moved his stuff and that the table was his. He claimed he hadn't gone far and that he was with his family. He then asked why we moved the stuff and claimed he could reserve the table by leaving it there without anyone watching over / standing near it. We were a little shocked at the yelling, but claimed the old adage, move your feet, lose your seat. Essentially, we didn't think anybody was using the table and that the stuff was maybe abandoned there. We also had a lot of time to set up our gear before they came by to move us away. If they had come right as we sat, we would have left without a word, but the man was outright hostile and to our POV in the wrong, so we tried to hold our ground. His family eventually joined him and he had young kids there. After a good 10 minutes of arguing with the guy, we decided to take the high road and leave him at the table. I still think we were in the right, but I'd like to know other people's opinions. Am I the idiot? NTA this. is like people who claim beach/pool chairs first thing in the morning, then come back whenever they feel like it. You can't just put your stuff in a public space to reserve it for an indeterminate amount of time. You're the idiot. Let's be honest, it was obvious they came looking for a spot, found one, left some of their stuff, and went back for the rest, but you, conveniently, chose to ignore it. So no, you didn't take the high road, you had to go back with the tail between your legs because you were in the wrong. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not contributing to expenses because my husband makes more money? This was apparently fine for a while but recently came to a head. I, female 32, and my husband, male 43, have been married for 5 years. When we met, we worked at the same place and made similar income, but have only had the same apartment/bills since marrying. Shortly after we did that, I developed an illness that prevented me from working any traditional job. This was rough, but we were living below our means and have continued to live very comfortably on his income alone. I of course didn't want to ask him for spending money and started selling paintings and doing art commissions online, but the profit from that is still comparably low and a lot of it goes back into buying art supplies, so he pays the rent, utilities, and some of the communal groceries while I pay for my own expenses like phone, clothes, and food that only I like. Basically, he won't let me go without essentials, but I wouldn't expect him to help me buy anything he doesn't also need. A few months ago, he had to switch to a lower paying job and things got a little tighter, so he suggested maybe I could contribute a little. I explained I already barely make enough to cover my own needs and that it's absurd to ask someone making $1,000 a month if they can spare money when he makes $100,000 plus. I said if I was putting anything into our bills, I wouldn't have anything left over for my own toiletries or the food I get for myself, that he buys several new video games and nice clothes every month and I should be able to buy unnecessary things for myself and gifts for people. He then suddenly called me a freeloader, which was incredibly hurtful as I'm not choosing to not work and can't control how inconsistent my income is, and I do so much of the housework. He hasn't had to do laundry or wash a dish or groom the dogs in years because I gladly took over all that once we weren't working equal jobs. I feel like we both contribute equally to keeping the place running, but he doesn't see what I do as important because it's not monetary. I don't blow my money, I can't. I just want to live at a somewhat similar quality of life as him, even though that means buying on sale and second hand while he can buy anything he wants at any time. Is my perspective incredibly wrong? This is only the second real relationship I've been in, and the first was with a fellow broke student while we both depended on our parents, so I'm not used to figuring out finances with a partner and am willing to listen to more experienced folks. Edit TOADD. Some comments stated I can work if I'm not impaired enough to be on disability. I would be on disability if I weren't legally married, but they count total household income as a qualifier, and due to this, I don't need assistance. My ability to function is not reliable, and there are days I don't paint or do housework, and employers don't like it when you can't do things on their schedule. I tried to get several jobs before turning to making things and would love to be able to earn anything close to what I used to. Not the idiot people don't realize disabled people can still paint, do house chores, but not be able to work a typical job. Are you sure your husband isn't trying to get you to contribute to the bills so when he files for divorce he can say you're able to support yourself? I would start snooping around to see if he has emails out to lawyers. Not the idiot to literally call you a freeloader years into what used to be an agreed upon and happy arrangement is messed up. He knew you were physically disabled and incapable of getting much money, especially since he earns so much that as his wife his large income disqualifies you from disability. It was never a problem until years later. It sounds like you may be looking to get out of the relationship TBH. The guy is literally thinking of his disabled wife as some freeloader living in his place. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for denying my boyfriend a once-in-a-lifetime experience just to be stubborn? I get free tickets to events in the US each year. Keeping it vague for privacy, but box seats at popular sports games and up-close seats at well-known concerts. Each year I get X amount of tickets. My boyfriend wanted to quit smoking, and I told him if he did, we could celebrate with tickets to X event. He was excited about that and came up with a plan to quit. A month later, I saw that he'd made no progress and said, I guess I'll invite your sister to the Taylor Swift concert then, since you're not making an effort to quit anymore. He got upset and said that it's not fair to tie the tickets to smoking, and I should invite him to some of my free events just to be nice/share the experience with my boyfriend. I said we could discuss doing more than one a year when he quit smoking, but not before. He got upset and said it was really rude of me to hold the tickets over his head, and instead of tying it to smoking, we should just go together. I'm holding my ground, and he's holding his. Am I the idiot for denying him these experiences until he quits smoking? I've never smoked cigarettes, so maybe I'm just unsympathetic at it. He wants to quit, but he's been saying that for years. I'm not forcing him into anything. A lot of the votes so far are, "You're the idiot," so if that continues to be the consensus, BF has lots of events ahead of him and a heartfelt apology from me. Not the idiot, you made the terms clear at the beginning. It's his own fault for starting smoking in the first place, and the longer he carries on, the harder quitting will be. Stick to your guns, OP. Not the idiot. You had a clear deal. Giving up smoking isn't easy, I know, I've done it, but it is impossible if you don't even try. I'm sure if he was making the attempt, you'd reconsider, but he isn't. When trying to get a loved one to give up an unhealthy habit, you've got the carrot, reward if it happens, or stick, whinge until they do it, option. Him not getting to go to something he wants is a bit of both. But he still wants to smoke more.